have an announcement in the 76ers community. We have an announcement to make in the podcasting community. This applies to me greatly in both areas as a 76ers fan and a YouTuber / podcaster. Paul George announced that he is returning to podcasting. Oh! The GOAT is back. Paul George, ladies and gentlemen, for all of us that were devastated, and sad and depressed that the greatest podcast ever created from one of the best NBA players to ever walk the earth, for those of us that were sad and depressed that the Paul George podcast had to commence so that he could focus on winning a championship with the 76ers last year when they were 5-25. For those of us that were depressed, but we understood the mission at hand. We understood that Paul George had to put his podcast on the back burner because the 76ers at 5-25 were on their way to a championship and he needed to focus. And then he went out with a pinky injury for 6 months. For those of us that were depressed and sad that the Paul George podcast was put on the back burner, may we rejoice today. The Podcast P show with Paul George, which doesn't make any sense because Paul George is Podcast P. So why is it called Podcast P with Paul George? Is that two people or one person? It's back. May we rejoice. And let's hear what Paul George had to say about his return to the podcasting universe.
You took a break from podcasting. Why is it important to do it and bring it back now?
I'm not a person that run away from anything. You know what I mean? Like my dad kind of instilled that you face your problems and you move on from it. It's there and it's gone. And the reason I took the hiatus was more so I wanted to get my body healthy. I wasn't mentally there in a time of where we were at, the team, me dealing with injuries. I wasn't in a space of being jolly and happy. And, you know, obviously we had topics and guests to talk with, but it wasn't much for me to talk about just because of where I was at. So now it's
kind of like you should probably only do a podcast when you're done playing basketball, maybe.
Obviously this summer, my downtime, I'm training, focusing on my body. I did procedures to get ready for this next season and kind of just want to touch back with my fan base. It was important for us to kind of start this back up, to just give back to the people, man. That's what I always inspire to do.
Did he just say, give back to the people? Thank you so much, Paul George, for giving back to the people. You know what you could do to give back to the people, Paul George? You could play more than 20 games this upcoming season. And maybe in a couple of games when Joel Embiid is inevitably injured, you could step up and put in a little bit of effort. Huh? Yeah, that's what you could do to give back to the people. Now, when he quit podcasting, he said that he wanted to focus on a championship. Now he says he stopped podcasting because he wasn't mentally right.
Or so I wanted to get my body healthy. I wasn't mentally there in a time of where we were at, the team, me dealing with injuries. I wasn't in a space of being jolly. And
yes, I agree with that. When you're losing and everything's going wrong, you probably shouldn't be podcasting, but that's why active NBA players shouldn't be podcasters in the first place, because with this logic, then you can only podcast when you're winning and everything's going great. You were catching heat from 76ers fans because you were sitting out with pinky injuries and strained groins and all this stuff, and then going on and doing a podcast talking to Reggie Jackson about the Oklahoma City Thunder or what's next for the Sixers. You getting on the court is what's next for. I'm not angry anymore about Paul George or the whole situation. It's hilarious to me. This is a South Park episode. This is, I swear to God, if South Park made an episode about how delusional and disconnected from reality rich NBA players are, this would be part of that episode. It's just unbelievable that Paul George is playing a character on a TV show, but he's being dead serious.
Happy, and obviously we had topics and guests to talk with, but it wasn't much for me to talk.
All right, let's look at the replies. Bro, just focus on doing what takes the Sixers win games. It's impossible to defend this dude as a Sixers fan. Can't believe he's on my team. Trade his ass. It's not like you're hooping up to par, so you better do something to set up your post career. He wanted the same amount of money as Kawhi. It would be just as successful as his Sixers career. Paul George said, if I'm not making the finals, I'm making content. He's about to drop 30 minutes on zone defense and 10 on skincare routine. I don't really know what that means. Can't take Paul George seriously after he asked for, yeah. And that's really why they stopped the Podcast P show, because the Philly fans were destroying it on YouTube. And his last uploaded video had 2,500 dislikes. Let me go find that, actually, because, dude, it's a lot. Actually, I can't. It won't show dislikes. I had to use an app to find that. But his last uploaded video on YouTube had 200 likes and 2,500 plus dislikes, and that's why they stopped the podcast. All right, now Paul George commented on the 76ers season, and we got to hear this before we move on.
I credit the locker room, man. I think through all the tough times that we had, man, we just stuck together and was like, just try to make the most out of this.
Y'all sitting down next to the locker, and it's like, big dog, I can't go tonight.
They put music behind it to try to get me caught up.
Can't go tomorrow night. I can't go next week. Like, damn, how we gonna win? What's those conversations like with all that talent sitting in one locker room?
In that situation, you felt for the big fella.
We've seen you be at the height of your game. We've seen Joel do that. We've seen Tyrese Maxey do that. And our eyes don't deceive us. This is championship level individual players. Cohesively, they should be able to win.
What were some of them false narratives that you wanted to give clarity on?
Ooh, what were some of those false narratives that you want to give clarity on? Let's hear this. Oh, you son of a... I guess I gotta listen to the full episode, don't I? Yeah, just to let you guys know, Podcast P has made his return to the podcasting world. So may we rejoice for all of us that direly missed his podcast. Now, I forgot to put the Tyrese Maxey thing up here, man. Tyrese Maxey tweeted last night. Oh, yeah, it's officially the offseason. We're talking about people tweeting. Tyrese Maxey, while watching the NBA playoffs last night, I'm assuming, said, y'all deserve to be in the playoffs, and we got to work to get there. Sixers fans, I love y'all. Never change. See, Tyrese Maxey's going to put in that work, and Tyrese Maxey's going to give you that effort night in and night out. He might go 3 for 35. You know? One thing you're never going to say about Tyrese Maxey is he quit. One thing you're never going to say about Tyrese Maxey is he showed up and didn't give effort. He showed up and jogged around and looked like he was playing on a Sunday afternoon at the park. You're never going to say that about Tyrese Maxey. He tried last year. I mean, the whole roster fell apart and he was out there chucking 30 shots a game. It wasn't the prettiest basketball ever, and his numbers are what they are because of it. You are never going to question Tyrese Maxey's love for the game and his effort, his flat-out effort and dedication. He's always going to give 100%, and this is what he thinks of. in the offseason after a season like that. He thinks of, we got to go in next year and we got to get back into playoffs because the fans deserve it. Shout out to our boy Tyrese Maxey, man. Shout out to our boy Tyrese. What else did I want to talk about before I talk about the draft combine? What y'all talking about in the chat? Nick Marchetti, what's up, man? Read comments on this tweet. Yeah, I did that, I think. Maxey gets 0 passes going forward. I need to see it, not hear it. What did he do last year that granted him 0 passes? Was Tyrese Maxey supposed to take Kyle Lowry, Eric Gordon, Kelly Oubre, and a couple of G Leaguers to the NBA playoffs? You know, you just got to look at it like, remember all the years that, remember all the years that everybody talked about how great Damian Lillard was, right? But the Portland Trailblazers were never good. I mean, he did put the Warriors away in the second round of the playoffs of one year, right? Not the Warriors. Yeah, the Warriors. But yeah, Tyrese Maxey, man, he needs the right situation, man. He's not LeBron James. He's not Michael Jordan. He's not going to take a bunch of nobodies to the NBA Finals. I don't think, I think we get caught up in that, man. I think people think you're not great if you don't do the absolute impossible. Tyrese Maxey's a really, really, really good player. He's an NBA All-Star. He averaged 26 points per game 2 years ago as an NBA All-Star. He averaged 28 last season before he got injured. He needs to be in the right situation. That's all there is to it. Again, not Michael Jordan, not LeBron James, not Kobe Bryant, not any of those guys. But he's an NBA All-Star. He's that good. And he needs to be respected. And hopefully we see some progress in this team this upcoming season. I don't know how we're going to see that progress, but